Alright guys, here's your derivative end test review. It's the worksheet I gave you today in class. Alright, let's get started. Number one, it says find f prime of x if f of x equals x squared times the sine of x. So, since we got two functions multiplied by each other here, we're going to have to use the product rule. Alright, so the product rule says 1 d2 plus 2 d1. So, first function, x squared, leave it alone. Second function, take the derivative. The derivative of sine x is, of course, cosine x. You should remember this. Plus the second function, so the sine of x, plus the derivative of the first function, which is 2x in this case. Alright, so f prime of x, you really can't do anything with this. I mean, you can try to pretty it up a little bit by getting rid of the parentheses and printing the 2x out front. But either way, it's equivalent. Both of these are equivalent statements. So this is f prime, that's what that little 1 means. F prime of x is x squared cosine x plus 2x sine x, or you could also say it's this one as well. You can leave it in this form, or you can write it in this form. Doesn't matter, they're the same thing, and you can't simplify it any further. So, all right, number two, we're also going to have to use product rule because we have two multiplied together. So leave the first one alone. 3x squared plus 2. Take the derivative of this, which bring the 3 down, times by 4, so 12x squared minus 7. And then you're going to add the derivative of the first one. Remember, leave the second one alone. And now you're going to have 6x. Because remember, the derivative of a constant is 0. So when you go to take a derivative, that is gone. Now, if you want, because this isn't a lesson on FOIL, this is a lesson on properly taking derivatives. If you want to leave it just like this, that's fine. Or you can multiply it through, which I'm not going to do. But you're more than welcome to leave that answer like that and that answer like that. All right, I'm not going to force you to write those out because I don't even want to write it out. All right, number three, we have 2x cubed square root of x. What I would recommend doing before you start this problem, and it's also going to be a product rule problem, is to rewrite this as 2x cubed times x raised to 1/2. You have a better chance of getting the answer correct if you rewrite it like this. All right. So now this is function 1, this is function 2. So now plug it in the product rule. So f prime of x equals the 2x cubed, because you leave it alone the first time, times 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 plus x to the 1/2 times 6x. All right, and again, you can just leave it like that if you want to, or you can try to combine some of these together. This won't combine, this will just be plus 6x times the square root of x. This will go to 2x cubed over 2 times the square root of x. So here the 2's would cancel out, but you don't have to do this. So, but I'm just showing you that you can simplify it down if you would want to. But I'm not going to require you to, because again, this is a test in taking derivatives, not a test in can you simplify this equation down. All right, so I'm not going to make you simplify it. All right, let's moving right along here. Number 4 and number 5. Find f prime of x if f of x equals x plus 3 over x minus 7. For these two problems, you're going to have to use the quotient rule. And of course, the quotient rule is low d high minus high d low over low squared. So let's get started. F prime of x equals low x minus 7. The derivative of the top is 1 minus high. Derivative of the bottom is also 1, all divided by x minus 7 squared. You can leave it like that because, again, this isn't a test in simplification, but you could also simplify this down. This would just be x minus 7. This would be negative x minus 3. So the x's would cancel out, and then you'd have negative 7 minus 3, which is negative 10 over x minus 7 squared. All right, I'd take either answer, but don't feel that you have to simplify this because, again, this is not a test in simplification. All right, let's look at this one now. So same deal, low d high, high d low. So low is cosine of x, d high is 2x minus high d low over low squared. All right, over low squared. Again, you can leave it just like that because it's not a simplification test. Now, but I do want to address something with the bottom here. For the bottom, I would take what I wrote, cosine squared x. I would also take cosine of x squared like that. But what I won't take, and I'm going to write this in red, what is not okay is to write the cosine of x squared like that. This would be wrong, and yes, I would take points off. All right, this and these two are not equivalent. These top two are equivalent because this is cosine of x squared, the whole thing. Well, so you can write it without parentheses. You know, we learned this last year. You can also put the 2 on the cosine, but not the x. Here, you're saying this is the cosine of x squared, only the x being squared, when it has to be the whole function squared. So do not write this. Do not write this. It is not the same as these two. All right? Any questions? Yeah, I can't hear you if you asked one anyway. But hopefully you asked me all the questions you had in class. That was the proper time. All right, so let's keep finding derivatives. It'll clear my ink. Number 6. Find f prime of x if f of x equals 8x cubed plus 2 cubed. Now remember, for this one, you got to go all GTC 13 on it. You got to use the chain rule. All right. Remember, the chain rule is to beat up the guy and steal his car rule. So the first thing we got to do is break the window. All right. Whip out your chain, smash the window. All right. So you got to do the derivative of the outside. So drop the 3 to the front. Inside, you're not going to mess with the interior. Now you got to beat the guy up inside. So now we're going to take the derivative. Well, that's going to be 16x. All right. So I would take that, but that also equals 48x times 8x squared plus 2 squared. I would take this or I would take this. You don't have to square this out and multiply it through. It's just going to cause you extra work, which is not going to get you any extra points. But I would take either one of these here. All right. Now here we go again. Well, here's a weird one. It's the sine of the cosine of x. Well, it's still a chain rule. Still a chain rule. So beat the guy up. I'm sorry. We gotta break his window. And he's driving a BMW. And like I said, BMW stands for break my window. So what's the derivative of sine? Well, that's cosine of cosine of x. I know that looks weird, but yes, that is what it is. Let's put this in brackets. Now times the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine. So there's our answer. The cosine of the cosine of x times negative sine x. Make sure you put this in parentheses. If you just wrote negative sine x here, I would count it wrong because that would look like this minus sine x, not this times negative sine x. So make sure you put in the parentheses. Make sure you put in the parentheses. Number 9, find f prime of x if f of x equals the square root of this. Well, first thing I would do is do a rewrite. X squared plus 3x minus 1 to the 1/2. Still a chain rule, so you gotta smash the window. So you're gonna have 1/2 times the inside to the negative 1/2 times the derivative of the inside, which is 2x plus 3. Alright, so there's your answer. And I'm not even, whoops, I'm doing a terrible job at circling this. Alright, I'm just going to take that off. Let's see, will that work? No, it's not. Alright, I tried Control Z, but that didn't work. So, 1/2 times x squared minus 3x minus 1, or plus 3x minus 1 to the negative 1/2 times 2x plus 3. That is your answer. Because remember, the derivative of x squared, 2x, 3x is 3, the derivative of negative 1 is 0, so you leave it off. And of course, you drop the exponent to the front, that's where the 1/2 came from. And then the negative 1/2 is because you have to subtract 1 from that when you get done. Alright, so there's those. Now let's go down to the last two. This is the second derivative implicit differentiation. Okay? So we want to find, I'm sorry, this is just implicit. This is the second derivative. So we want to find the derivative of this. So remember, all you do is you take the derivative like you normally would. X cubed would go to 3x squared minus 2y cubed would be 6y squared. Don't forget to add the y prime because this is a y term, not an x term. And this is going to equal 0 because the derivative of 4 is nothing. So now subtract the 3x squared from both sides. So now I'm going to write up here, negative 6y squared y prime equals negative 3x squared. Divide off the negative 6y squared divided by negative 6y squared. That cancels that, leaving us y prime equals, that would be plus, that would go away, this would become a 2 over, I need to move that down a little bit after I did that. So I'm going to write over here actually. Y prime equals x squared over 2y squared. That is your answer. Alright, now let's do this one. Now this here, that kind of messed up a little bit. What this is really supposed to look like is 4x cubed, like so. Not, hopefully y'all understood that was a caret sign. But yes, that is what it's supposed to look like, is y squared minus 4x cubed. But again, now we're just going to start taking derivatives. The derivative of 2y is, y squared is 2y, y prime equals 12x squared. Divide the 2y, divide 2y. So that'll go away, and this will go to a 6. So y prime equals 6x squared over y. Now we got to take the derivative of that again. So I'm just going to rewrite it. Y prime equals 6x squared over y. So now we got to use quotient rule. So it's low d high minus high d low over, whoops, low squared. So low is y. Derivative of high is 12x minus high 6x squared d low, which is y prime, over y squared. All right, now what you got to do is you got to take this and substitute it in there. So you're going to get y. You know what, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit better as I go along. You're going to get 12xy minus 6x squared times 6x squared y over y squared. Well, to get rid of the fraction here, what you need to do is multiply both the top and the bottom by y. Alright, so this becomes, I don't know why I'm running at such an angle here. See if I can straighten that up. 12xy squared minus, now keep in mind this y cancels out with this y. Alright, but not before it squares this y. So you're going to get basically just 6 times 6, which is 36, and then x squared, and x squared is x to the fourth. Alright, over y cubed. Now, if you look back here, y cubed equals 4x, y squared equals 4x cubed. So I'm going to erase some of this. I hope y'all got that written down because I don't have any further to go. So over here, let's do 12x times 4x cubed, because that's what y squared equals. Y squared is 4x cubed, minus 36x to the fourth, divided by, plug that in down here as well. I know this is a y cubed, but what you can also look at it as is a y squared times y. So there's going to be 4x cubed y in the bottom. Now let's do some multiplication. So 12 times 4 is 48. Why is my thing lagging so bad? Come on, little cursor. It'll start working right in a second. There we go. 48x to the fourth minus 36x to the fourth over 4x cubed y. Now 48 minus 36, because they're both x to the fourth, is 12x to the fourth over 4x cubed y. Well, the x cubed will cancel out the 4 and put that to a 1. The 4 and the 12 will cancel. This will be a 3 and this will be a 1. So our entire answer, we started at y squared equals 4x cubed, and when we're done, we're ending up with 3x over y. You might ask yourself, why is that so complicated? Well, you are in AP Calculus. So first thing we did, we started out, we found the derivative of y squared equals 4x cubed. That came out to y prime equals 6x squared over y. Then we took the derivative of that again and got y times 12x minus 6x squared y prime over y squared. Substituted that in to get this. To get rid of that fraction, we multiplied the top and bottom by y, and all of this went to 12x y squared minus 36x to the fourth over y cubed, which will really break down into y squared times y. And now we went back up to our original problem. We know that y squared equals 4x cubed, so we substituted that in for all the y squareds, giving us this over here, which is 12x times 4x cubed minus 36x to the fourth over 4x cubed y. That comes out to 48x to the fourth minus 36x to the fourth over 4x cubed y. Then of course we subtracted this out because they have the same variable with exponent. So that's 12x to the fourth over 4x cubed y. The x to the cubed and the x to the fourth will cancel out to just x. The 12 and the 4 of course reduce down to 3. So final answer is 3x over y. Final answer. Alright. Watch this video as many times as you need. Your test is on Monday. Make sure you come prepared. If you haven't watched some of the videos, make sure you get those videos watched so you understand these concepts. You need to know how to do product rule, quotient rule, chain rule, and implicit derivatives, and second implicit derivatives. All right. So make sure you come on Monday knowing how to solve to solve types of problems like are in this review. All right, so study and good luck on Monday.